Okay, so this is the Lab 2 video for AI Rookies Labs to talk about natural language processing basics using Orange. If you have not already done Lab 1, I didn't make a second Lab 1 for this specific NLP stuff because there already is a Lab 1 for the data mining. Okay. And it's the same exact thing, so I didn't make a second video for it. So Lab 2 essentially begins the process of natural language processing, and it's called preprocessing the text. You can't start analyzing text until you've cleaned it up and reformatted it for natural language processing. Raw text is basically a mess. It's inconsistent. It's hard for a computer to actually use raw text. So before anything else is done, you need to go back and do some basic cleaning, and that's what pre-processing is all about. Okay. So what is pre-processing? Pre-processing is consists of a number of steps, but typically the three basic ones that we're going to do here are the most important. Breaking text into individual words, turning everything to lowercase, and removing filler words that are also called stopwords that don't really have any meaning. Okay. So to do this in Orange, I have some data prepared, and this data is freely available on my website. If you go here, it's the data for the AI Rookies Labs. It is a free download. This is the website where everything's available, either for sale or for free for student use, including this is the book right here, the PDF that I cut off. The slides are actually there as well. So the data that I'm using is in this data pack. It just all downloads as one bundle. Okay. And so the first thing you're going to do is launch Orange and add a new file widget to the canvas. And then you're going to find wherever your data is. It's called the Lab 2 sample data CSV, and you're going to upload it into the file. And then you're going to create this thing called a corpus. Now this, you need to have this text add-on installed. If you don't have this installed, when I go in Orange, I'll show this. It's not part of the base install to put this in. It's like an add-on package that you need to, it's really simple. You just have to like be in Orange and just click something. But you need that. Okay. And the data looks like this. So the data is just, I just made up 5 random sentences. And we're going to actually process this just to illustrate with a mini data set, like what pre-processing is all about and how it happens. Okay. So you have your data and you upload it using the file widget, and then you have to create this thing called a corpus. In order to load the corpus, you have to have the text analysis add-on. A corpus effectively is sort of like it's a data object that holds text documents, because we're not working with like a regular spreadsheet file because we don't have structured like numeric data. We're working with text data. So the corpus holds, and you can see like each individual like sentence is kind of like a corpus object thing. And then in Orange, you can't actually click on the corpus. You actually, to see it rather, you actually have to do this corpus viewer, which is literally just another widget that like lets you look at the corpus. So that's the process, the really basic process of uploading the text document, flowing the data through the corpus widget, and then just viewing it in the corpus viewer. Okay. So let's actually do that first and go sort of back and forth in Orange on this. Okay, so I'm in Orange, and I'm going to click New. It's not going to do anything yet. Now, if you need to install the text analytics stuff, it's under Options, Add-ins, and I think I'm online. I'm not actually sure. Yeah, I am. Okay. So in here, it doesn't automatically get installed. You have to go down and install it. It's the text one, not the textable. I don't know what textable actually is. So you want to install the text one, which is the Orange text mining add-in. I don't know why it's called text and not text mining on here. and then just hit OK and it will like auto install. And what you will get is you'll get a menu that looks like this. You get this blue menu that has all of the text widgets that go with it. And you need this. You can't do any of the natural language processing without this. Again, I mean, this all sits on top of Python. So literally what these widgets are is they're just like literally it's visual Python programming. So they're calling Python functions and built in that. Okay. It's really cool. I mean, whoever did this. Anyways, so in order to load my data, I'm going to add a file widget. And then I'm going to use this widget to find my data, which I have on my desktop, so it's all set. And then I'll reload it because every time I start Orange again, you want to like refresh. So the data is loaded in the file widget, but I can't like see it or do anything with it in the file widget. So I'm going to go down to my text mining and I'm going to create a corpus from here. Now, if I just click on corpus, you can't see anything either. And this is actually wrong, but I can't fix it from here. It's okay because it's going to flow correctly. We'll see that in a minute. And then I'm going to find my corpus viewer and hook it up. So my corpus viewer here. And now when we click on this, we see our data is here. Okay. So this with the corpus viewer, not with the corpus, I see the data set that I've imported, which is just my little 5 sentences. Okay. And so that's how to get your text data uploaded into Orange. The data object is this corpus object that we operate on. Okay. Okay. So now we're ready to talk about actually doing something with that data. So ordinarily, when you get sort of faster at this, you kind of do all of your pre-processing steps just together. You just use one pre-processing widget and you just do it all at once. But I'm going to like break it into like the individual components and do each one individually and then look at them. So we're going to go slow. So the first thing I'm going to do is tokenize it. Now, tokenizing takes your sentence and effectively breaks it into individual words. You can tokenize at other levels, but typically I saw the cat as a sentence becomes token I, token saw, token the, token cat. So we're literally breaking it up into token pieces, usually at the word level, but you can do other things. Okay. Without doing this, NLP really can't work with text because you can't just feed it sentences. Okay. So in order to do this, I'm going to add a preprocessed text widget, connect it to the corpus widget. I'm going to clear the default and use only the tokenization step to begin with. And then I'm going to connect another corpus widget and another corpus viewer. Okay. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to go in Orange and do this in a minute. So here's what I already have. I'm going to add a preprocessed text widget. I'll show you where that is. And then I'm going to flow it. The data flow goes from the corpus to the preprocessed text to the next corpus. And then we can view the next corpus. You can't just like, you have to have a corpus to view the corpus, if that makes any sense. So we're going to do this next. And then this is what the tokenized data is going to look like when we use the corpus viewer. And you can see that it's all broken up into the individual tokens. Okay. So let's go back into Orange and do this. Okay, so I'm back in Orange and I'm going to add a preprocessed text widget. Now be careful because there is another preprocessed widget like for data somewhere. I don't want to under transform. You don't want this one. This is a different one. That's for like regular like non-text data. You want to use the preprocessed text widget down here and you flow your data through the corpus. The corpus viewer is just to view things. We're not flowing data through there. And then we go to preprocessed text. Now, when you open this, it will have default set. That's actually the last time I used it. So it will have stuff in here like this, but just remove this by like clicking on here to get rid of it. And so we're going to do this step by step. So we're going to do a couple pre-processing steps, but we're just going to do one thing at a time. So the first thing we're going to do is tokenization. And we're just simply going to use what's called regex tokenization, which I think just splits it at the space. I think that's what \W is. Pretty sure that's what that is. And so just set it like this. And then what you're going to do is you have to flow it to another corpus because you processed it. And now you basically it's basically your modified data set. Oops, I don't want that. It created a weird little thing that I don't know what to do with. Okay, got rid of it. Cool. And then we want to flow this through another corpus viewer so we can look at it. And of course, we need to have our connectors on because without connectors, no data is flowing. So I'm flowing my data through here, and then I want to look at it here. Okay. So when I click on this, I now have tokenized data. Now, very importantly is this little button down here, or little check thingy. This right here, if you don't check it, you're going to be like, nothing happened to my data, because the original data is here before we pre-process anything. And then orange like buries these little screens. This next one, if you look at after you pre-process it, you're going to be like, it didn't do anything. You have to check the little show tokens and tags, and it will show you that. Now, the first one, it won't even let you show that because you haven't done any pre-processing, so just be careful about that. The first time I did this, like, it took me a while to figure that out, and I was like, it's not doing anything. Yeah, it is. Okay. So you can see now the text is tokenized. Okay, cool. So let's go back into the slides. Okay, so the next step in our 3 stages of pre-processing is going to be to make the data lowercase. Because you don't want, for example, the word hi with a capital H and with a lowercase h. Because in computer land, the coding is different for these 2 formats of the word hi, and you don't want that. So typically you want to convert everything to lowercase, and that will involve another pre-processing text widget. Again, once you get good at this, you just kind of do it all in one whoosh, but I want to do like step, 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 step. And then you're going to add another corpus widget and another corpus viewer. And it's going to look like this, and yes, it will get a little busy looking. So here's the initial data. This is the step of tokenization, and now we're going to have the step of making everything lowercase. The order of pre-processing may or may not matter. I'm not really an expert in this, but like sometimes like you want to tokenize first and lowercase second, and there's like some sort of like the step matter actually does matter. And the order that you put them in the pre-processing, if you're doing it all in one step, the order that you add them is the order that they're processing. So it's sort of like a math order of operations thing going on. And so the second step, tokenization is the first step. The second one is going to be lowercase transformation. It doesn't really matter like whether you include this again or not, because you've already done this in the first pre-processing step, the tokenization. It's not going to do anything again, or just get rid of it and just use lowercase transformation. Okay. And so this is what it's going to look like after lowercase transformation. All of the uppercase become lowercase. Okay. So let's go into Orange and do this. Okay, so back in Orange, and I want to add another pre-processing text widget. Now, if I were a really good professor, but I'm just sort of a lazy girl, you can actually relabel these to like have like step 1, step 2. I'm on this kind of weird like tablet laptop, so I can't like super easily do that. I could if I really tried, but that would be really nice as a professor if I did that, but I'm not going to do it just because I'm not. So I have a second pre-processing text widget. I pull this up. Now this one, I don't want stopwords in it. That's actually the next step. I want transformation. So I'm going to put this here. I could have actually put tokenization. Like I could have kept this in here too, but it's not gonna do anything. So the second pre-processing specifically, I want to make lowercase, so just leaving it like that is fine. Because the data has already been pre-processed by tokenization. Now I want to again flow it to a corpus widget to make it a corpus, a new one. And I want a corpus viewer because otherwise I can't look at it. Okay. So pulling this up, now we have everything lowercase. See this? Orange is now lowercase. Compare this to the prior processing where orange was uppercase. It's now all lowercase. So I have achieved both tokenization and standardizing everything to lowercase. Okay. The final pre-processing step is going to be what we call removing stopwords. Now, stopwords are like just basically common words that don't really add meaning. The, and, is, of, for. I don't know exactly what they're called in English language, but like speech parts that are just like your transitionals for speech part, not your like nouns and verbs that are like your kind of like major meaning words. So we want to remove them because they're essentially noise words, and we want to make our analysis. When we use language processing, we're specifically looking at like sort of like important words, not like just like all of the words. So we're gonna again add another pre-processing text widget and connect it to another corpus and look at it again. And it will get a little bit busy looking. So this is the initial data loading. This is the tokenization. This is the lowercase, and the final process is going to be the stopword removal. Okay. And so this is if you added them all together. Although I actually did this. This is not in exactly the order. Woe is me. Tokenization was actually the first. Tokenization, then transformation, then filtering is the order we did them. The order in here does actually matter. Like in this case, it would actually do transformation and then tokenization. We did tokenization first and then transformation. If you did them all together, which you can do, which I'm doing this specifically step by step to not do like too many things at once. But typically, once you get sort of faster at this, you just set your pre-processing widget to like just run everything at once and just run it once. But the last thing we're going to do is the stopword removal. And then that will be our final step. So let's go back into Orange and do this. Okay, so back in Orange, and just to emphasize my data flow. So my data flow is going here. Okay, the corpus viewers have nothing to do with the data flow. They're just looking at the data. So one more pre-processing text widget. Okay. So laddering it down. And then connect the previous step corpus data to this. And then click on it. Now, this one is set up for stopword filtering. Now, here's the catch. You have to have I think you do. To be honest, I think Orange actually has like a built-in that isn't. You have to have a little stopword file, and I have one. I just like sort of stole this off the web. This one is just called stopwords.txt. I just found it. I found it here I just did an internet search for a stopword list that Orange would use. It's literally just a text file with words in it. And then these are the words that Orange is going to filter out as stopwords. Nothing really too like crazy. And you can edit and modify this to include or exclude certain stopwords if you wish. Yeah. So it's literally just a list of words. Okay. And so I'm going to filter these words out using this preprocess widget. Okay. And then I'm also going to do another corpus and another corpus viewer. And we're going to see that, for example, I love Orange for text finding. Now the word for is gone and I is gone. So we've completed our pre-processing. We went from having full sentences with capital letters and punctuation and all that. And then we tokenized it. Always be sure to have the show tokens and text clicked off, because if you don't, it seems like you haven't actually done anything. And we've gone from having the full sentence to tokenizing it, to lowercasing it, and then to stripping out the stop words. And now we have text that is pre-processed and ready to use in natural language processing. Very, very important that you get the basics of this. If we were going super quick, we would just use one pre-processed text widget and just add them all. But to sort of like teach you what pre-processing is actually doing, it's worth the time to actually go through all of these individual steps. Okay. Okay. So as a wrap up, this lab showed us how to tokenize, convert to lowercase, and remove stop words. And then we have clean, ready to use data for our natural language processing. Again, all of this can be found on my little sort of website thing. And this is like all the different stuff, but the natural language stuff, you go under here, and then you get the natural language series. And the yellow ones are the orange ones. Okay. The light blue ones are the R ones, and then the dark blue gray ones, this is the base textbook. This is not the labs. This is like the actual like content stuff to learn from. So this is what's in here. It's this is the sort of like theoretical content without the actual lab stuff. So it's like all the details of pre-processing and stuff is in there. Um, and but what goes along with this video is the data set here and the book. And the slides are actually on here as well if you wanted to buy them to use. Not just this lab, but the whole series. Okay, thanks.